Hey guys, I just got back from my ride on the 2021 Rocky Mountain Altitude. This was 2 years ago my favorite bike of the entire 2019 season, and they've updated it. I mean, it's a whole new bike now. They've changed everything. And now Rocky Mountain Altitudes are 29ers. So if you're an extra large or a large, you're on a 29er. Medium, you have the option of a 29er or 27.5, and then size small, exclusively 27.5 wheel sizes. So it's all new. Head to their website. I've linked it down here below. It's bikes.com. Head over there and look at the geometry, look at the build kits. I'm riding the Carbon 50 build today, the C50 build, which is kind of their mid-tier carbon frame Altitude. It has, a Fox 36 on it, the new Fox 36, which is awesome, with the grip damper, which is really nice, DPX2, full SLX group set with a XT derailleur and 4-piston XT brakes, which are amazing. They suit this type of bike perfectly well. It's 160 millimeters travel in the rear, 170 millimeter fork, and it's just like the perfect trail bike. I hate to, everyone watches my channels and you think, man, this Yum guy likes all the bikes. Everybody makes really good bikes now. You just are looking for those little individual things that make them a little different. All bikes ride just a little different, and then find the ones that suit your trail systems that you ride the most. Find the one that suits your trails the best. And the Altitude is just, I know it seems like a longer travel bike because it's 160 mil in the rear and 170 in the fork, but honestly, this has got incredible trail manners, and one of the reasons why is the really awesome geometry that this bike has. It has a very short chainstays. On the new Altitude, you can move that rear axle forward and backwards to change the length of the chainstays, right? Kind of like the new, I think the new Specialized Enduro does that. Santa Cruz Mega Tower does that. Well, now the Altitude does it. I've kept it in the shortest chainstay. I like my bikes to feel real quick and snappy. The trails that I ride aren't overly high speed all the time and just wide open, just hauling the mail type riding. And so I like the short, snappy feel of these shorter chainstays, right? 426 millimeters when you're in the steepest setting. Now, we're going to open up a whole ball of wax, so get comfortable and stick with me for just a little bit here, because we're going to talk about Rocky Mountain's unique Ride 9 settings for their rear shock. So these 9 settings that Rocky Mountain offers in the Ride 9 setting lets you just change the position of that rear shock ever so slightly, and it changes the whole geometry of the bike. So today, for example, I had it in the steepest setting, which has a 65.5 degree head tube angle and a 76.5 degree seat tube angle. It also changes the reach numbers a little bit and the chainstay numbers a little bit, but it's very subtle. So it's 461 millimeters of reach right now in this steepest setting. Now you can move it all the way back 9 positions down into the slackest setting, right? Which would then offer a 64.4 degree head tube angle, slackens that bike out a little bit more, and makes a 75.5 degree seat tube angle. The bike in all the settings, well, I haven't tried all the settings yet, but I've tried the number 1, the number 9, and the middle one, the number 5, the neutral setting. And all of them keep the seat tube angle in a very good climbing position. It's just a very good climbing bike for given the 160 millimeters of travel. And it's still slack enough in the steep setting, which sounds weird, but in that steep setting, it still has a 65.5 degree head tube angle and a 76.5 degree seat tube angle. It's just a great trail bike at that point. So most of the time I've spent riding in the neutral position, the number 5 position, because in the slackest position, I was suffering a little bit from some pedal strikes on my local trails. It just really makes that bike very slack, and it's just in the most downhill, go fast setting, and those pedals drop down and get a little lower. That whole bike just sits down lower, and it just makes it turn really well and can go really fast, and you feel tons of confidence riding it. But those pedals do get a little low in that slackest setting. Again, this is on a 27.5 bike, right? I've enjoyed it the most in that number 5 position, the neutral position, which would give me a 75 degree head tube angle and a 76 degree seat tube angle. Excellent geometry, in my opinion, for everyday trail riding. just go out and ride all the toughest trails and still fun on the easier trails. Let's just talk about climbing real quick. So you would think that a 160 millimeter travel bike with a 170 Fox 36 fork up front might not be that great of a climber, but honestly, I would say this bike climbs better than the Yeti SB150, which I get it, that's a 29er, but man, this bike just scoots right up the trail. I like to switch that DPX2 on these Rocky Mountains from the open position to that middle kind of pro pedal or that middle trail setting, right? It's just easy to do, it's right there, and it's worth doing on this bike. It just firms up that suspension platform a little bit. Don't get any feedback from the pedals when you're climbing even aggressively out of the saddle. It just zooms right up the trail, and it's great. And then when you get to the top, flip that into the open setting, and off you go. You're descending down about the smoothest trail you could ride on this bike. It just smooths out every trail. It's just so. The one thing I love about the Rocky Mountain Smooth Link suspension, it's like a 4-bar horse link suspension. They call it Smooth Link, but it's so open, so active, the suspension is so available to you. It's incredible. This bike is like riding a magic carpet. It really is. You know, we hit speeds of over 30 miles an hour today on Jacob's Ladder, and lots of kind of 6-inch to 1-foot drops and rocks and just chundery sections of the trail. It's just perfectly smooth and quiet too. That's the other thing. They updated that rear chainstay guard for the chain slap. The bike is dead quiet, perfectly smooth. I mean, this is gonna put the biggest smile on your face if you go demo this bike or if you decide to buy this bike. I wish I could have gotten it in a 29er. That way, because I think most people will likely purchase this bike in the 29er configuration. I have just ordered a Fox 36 29er fork. I'm going to throw a 29er wheel on there. I'm going to try this in a mullet setup. I don't know that Rocky Mountain necessarily wants me to do that to the bike. It might void the warranty, I'm not sure, but I think this is a good candidate for a mullet. So for those of you who don't know, you keep a 27.5 wheel size bike, tire and wheel on the back, and then put a 29er fork and 29er wheel on the front, and then you put it, I think if you put it in the steepest position, it's going to offer you really good mullet options. I'll drop the fork down to 160 millimeters of travel instead of 170 to offset that height that I'm getting from the 29er, but I think it'll be a really cool option. I've had like 6 or 7 rides on this thing so far, and I'm blown away. I'm planning on keeping this bike long term on loan from Mike at Utah Mountain Biking. So they're Rocky Mountains dealer here in Utah County, here in Utah. So if you live in the valley, head into Utah Mountain Biking, talk to Mike. I don't know if he has demos in right now or not. This whole 2020 with COVID, finding demo bikes has been a nightmare, but he might have a couple demo bikes. I know he has a ton of these in inventory for sale, you know, from the C30 all the way up to the nice Rally Edition. Again, click the link in the description down below and go check out this bike on Rocky's website. I think it'll be fun for you to look at the different options that they have. I think it's really smart of Rocky Mountain to offer this in a 29er and a 27.5, because shorter guys like me, we really do benefit in some situations, especially extra steep terrain when you're really getting off the back of the bike. I really do prefer that 27.5. And then for even shorter people on size smalls, I think that they would really benefit from the 27.5 wheel as well. So I think Rocky's smart to do that on this altitude. Head into Utah Mountain Biking, talk to Mike. They got them in stock. You can at least go look at them. It comes in this black, purple, and red, although that red's almost like a pinkish color. And then the rest of the bike is purple on the back, and then they have a matte black one with some kind of orangish rust kind of highlights throughout. But Mike's got a ton of these in stock. Head in there, talk to him. It's Utah Mountain Biking in Lehi, Utah. Give him a call. They do a good job of taking care of all of Yum Yum viewers and subscribers. In terms of complaints about the bike, getting back on the 27-point wheel size, sometimes you feel it get hung up in the rear a little bit. That's just the wheel size, you know. But then the benefits of that wheel size is this bike feels so zippy and so snappy. It doesn't feel like a 160 millimeter travel bike. It feels like a shorter, it feels like the Ibis Mojo 4 actually, just really playful and fun. Very maneuverable. I can't believe this is much more maneuverable than the Pivot Switchblade that I've been riding, or the Yeti SB130 that I've been riding a lot of. it's amazing what they can do with bikes now. That this is such a composed, capable, high-speed bike that can handle anything. I mean, I'm not bottoming this out on anything. And then when I get on the slower speed trails that are tighter and just those single track trails, so much fun. I just can't even believe it. So much fun. Oh, I was going to talk about some complaints. So the size medium ships with a 150 millimeter dropper post, and I think there's enough room there. I need to get to 175 or 170. I could probably handle a little bit longer dropper post there, but it ships with a 150. I wish Rocky Mountain would take a page out of Ibis's book and lower that that seat tube height. Just lower that down a little lower, how Ibis does. Ibis, man, I can fit like a 200 mil dropper in an Ibis, but so that's one thing. Everything else, the bike's incredible. I just want to reiterate and say this again. The bike was silent. It was so nice to ride such a quiet bike. That was really a lot of fun. In terms of what bikes out there that are similar to this, that this compares to, man, I rode that Revel Rel over the summer. That was a lot of fun. That bike was a lot of fun, but that bike was a little slower coming out of the corners, getting it back up to speed. It felt like a longer travel bike, which is what it is. It should feel that way. This bike feels more playful, little zippier and maneuverable, more sporty than that bike. Another bike I spent a lot of time on was the Ibis HD5, right? And the HD4 before that. Those bikes all also feel more stable, like, not that this wasn't stable, but they feel longer. More work to get through stuff, not quite as maneuverable as this, which I didn't really have that as a complaint on the Ibis HD5, that it wasn't maneuverable, but this is certainly more sporty, more maneuverable. You know, it's not that, in terms of how it rides, it's not that different than the previous Altitude, even though it's gotten more suspension. It's now offered in a 29er, but man, it still has that really true grassroots, authentic trail bike vibe to it when you ride it. It just feels like a sporty, fun trail bike. And you know, what can you ask for more out of a bike than that? I mean, this is ready to go on any trail. I'm really impressed with that. I love the paint job too. I just think it's such a good looking bike. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the area down below to comment. I'll do my best to get back to you guys. I've got a lot of time on this bike. I'm excited to talk about it. We might end up doing a live stream as well and talking more about it. But thanks to Mike and the guys at Rocky Mountain at Utah Mountain Biking for getting me on this Rocky Mountain. I had a blast on it. It's so much fun. I'm excited to put a lot more miles on it. Sounds like I'm going to get to keep it for a while. So I'm really excited about that. And I don't know, if you're looking for a longer travel bike, I mean, it's more playful, more fun than my Switchblade was even. My Pivot Switchblade, which I thought was a great bike. Sorry, this video is getting a little long. I feel like I just keep talking about this bike. I was just really impressed with it. Usually after 6 or 7 rides, that adrenaline or that euphoria kind of drains out and I'm not quite as stoked on it. It's just like, oh, okay, I know what I'm riding. But every time I get on it, the stoke is still alive and well. I mean, it's a really fun bike. I had a lot of fun today. $5,400 for this bike too. And it's well equipped. I mean, I'd have no problem riding it just how it is. So this video is getting too long. Let's wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, sticking around, hit the like button, share it with your friends. And if you have any questions, stick it down below and we'll answer it. We'll see you guys on the next video. Dude, that's always fun. This bike is so freaking good. Like, what are you feeling? Rocky Mountains are my favorite bikes on the downhill. They're so open, so active. Suspension is so available too. I mean, this is a long travel bike, 160, 170, but still never harsh, never stiff. Oh, this will feel a little small for you, but you should ride it. Yep. Dude, it is so fun. That's like the quietest bike down Jacobs ever. Dude, they got